Hi, I'm Brendan Kennedy. I'm the Director of Instruction here at the Legacy Club at Aliquot Lakes. I have been teaching here for 20 years now. So this is a unique opportunity for me to get to know some of you out there and for you to get to know me. Today I'm doing a segment, and I'll be doing monthly segments for Markham Woods Neighbor magazine. And today I'll be working with Alessandra, and we are basically, I'm just going to give you kind of an introduction of how I view the golf swing, the fundamentals of the swing. We'll do that in a lesson format. I'll be watching her hit some balls and just kind of going through my process of how I look at things and how I try to come up with solutions. So I hope this will be helpful to you. So what would your miss tendency be? What's the shot or the
my
result?
miss would probably be to start out probably about 5-10 yards to the right, and then it'll kind of draw back a little more than 5-10 yards. It'll probably be about 15-20. So my miss is left.
An overdraw.
Yeah, an overdraw.
Okay. And what is your best understanding of what would produce that? Not in terms of your swing, but just the path and the club face relationship.
Well, I know if I started out to the right, then I'm coming from the inside on my path, but then when it overhooks, that means my club face is a little too shut. So it's almost not eliminating it. It's kind of too much, so then it hooks a little bit more to the left than I want.
Sure.
So it's a little bit handsy.
Yes. Yes. So anytime a ball is overdrawing, which is a good player's problem, high handicaps never do that, right? They slice, but it would always mean that the path the club is traveling on is too much to the right of not only the target perhaps, but the club face itself. So if your ball starts to the right of the club of the target, well, your face technically was open to the target because the ball started to the right.
Yeah.
But what it was closed to was the path if it's overdrawing. So you would have two options. You could either open your face more to get it closer to the path,
Okay.
if you didn't want to change your path, or we could do things to try to straighten your path out and get it closer to the face
Yeah.
to take some of that curve off. Anyways, that's just, but so far you've hit two shots and you've hit them solidly. Both of them had a little bit of a draw. Neither one of them crossed the target line, so
Yeah.
those are good shots. So just keep going there. I'm just trying to give you an idea of how I'm looking at things. First thing I'm looking at is your contact, and so far so good. So that ball started to the left
Yeah.
and drew, full draw. So
Yeah.
we know that the club face was closed not only to the target because the ball started left of it, but it was also close to the path
Yeah.
because it curved farther left.
Okay.
Good. Was that solidly hit?
It was a little thin,
Okay.
but not to the point where it was just, it felt really off on the club. It was barely any.
Yeah. So that one you hit a little bit behind.
Yeah, it felt a little chunkier.
Okay. So the last two balls, one was thin, but on line, little draw. The one she just hit was a little bit fat, I guess you'd call it. The club bottomed out a little bit early. It hit behind the ball. So that just brings me to the way I look at the swing or the fundamentals of the game of ball striking are three things. Independent of grip, alignment, posture, setup, those things, because tour pros align themselves in different places. They have different grips, some very strong, some neutral, some weak. You'll see all kinds of different looking swings, some that have the club whirling around, some that look very pretty geometrically. but what they all do is they hit the ball solidly. They control where the club bottoms out in relation to the ball. So as we're going along here, I'm making note mentally and also verbalizing the contact, because that's what we have to get under control first, is good solid contact. Once we have that under control, the next question is the ball going far enough to play golf in a reasonable number of strokes? We all want to hit it farther, but is it solid? And then when it's solid, is it far enough? And then if those two are in place, the third and final checkpoint would be club face control, or having a predictable curve to the ball, whether it's right to left or left to right or straight, some predictability to that. That's the hardest one of those three fundamentals to get right. The Tour Pro hits it solid, hits it far, but doesn't always control direction. So right now, her swing looks very good. The tendency is to overdraw. So that tells me that there's maybe a path issue. And we've mishit a couple of shots here, so something in there might give rise to that situation as well. So we'll proceed, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. But your grip, alignment, setup, posture, those things look very good. How was the contact?
It was a little bit more towards
the
over
heel?
here,
Okay.
yeah, a little towards the heel, it felt like.
So that was mishit on the face, a little towards the heel, and the ball pushed. It went right of the target with no curve. So that would tell us that the path the club was traveling on and the club face at impact were both oriented to the right. So I can tell already that perhaps Alessandra has a tendency to swing the club too many degrees from inside out, if you're familiar with that terminology, and that's a good player's problem. The highest handicaps tend to come over the top. They'll tend to hit down and across the ball. She doesn't do that. Over there, out of camera view, I have a metal pipe circle that represents the inclined plane. So the golfer stands in the center of that and rests their club on the edge of that pipe and moves the club around the body on both sides, keeping it on the surface. So if I were to cut that ring in half and laid the bottom half on the ground here, so we've got a half circle, if I spray painted around the edge of it, what you would have would be an arc drawn on the ground like this. I'm going to represent that arc with these two clubs. So if I could bend the shaft, it would look more like an arc, but I'm just going to put this one here. This would be the back side of the arc. Then, so the club would be coming towards the ball, away from and towards the ball this way. And as we hit through the ball, if we pivot properly, the club would travel around an arc on this side. Somewhere along this arc, there's a tangent point. We don't need to get into that. Point is, we've got a back side and a front side. So how does this relate to you? Well, the tendency, I think you put the club in a nice position here. It comes down certainly from the inside. But for whatever reason, and we won't get too detailed, the club tends to swing too many degrees to the right. So that's path. That's the direction the club is traveling into and through the ball on. Then we've got club face. At the point of contact, where is this club face looking? Is it pretty straight at the target? Is it closed to the left, or is it open to the right? What I would have you working on is the front side of the arc, and that is to say, I would be trying to get you to move the hand and club head path what feels like is more to the left on your follow through. Literally trying to straighten out your path. It's not going to be straight, but we don't want it to be going in this direction. So normally I'm filming as we go along here, and we would take a break and look at this together before I would suggest correction. But what we would see is from very nice backswing, nice downswing to this point, but coming through the ball, there's a tendency to extend and push the arms and the hands and the club out to the right too much. So now we're going to, whether the ball goes to the right, goes to the target, or misses to the left, is going to be a matter of club face. But the path is too many degrees to the right. So just to straighten the path out, I would have you working on this side. So you might feel initially that you're coming over the top, but you wouldn't have to worry about that because you're just too many degrees, you're a little too low, too many degrees from the inside. So I don't think you would ever come over the top in reality. So we'll switch places here in a moment and I'll help you through this. But what we're going to try to do is get your path as it comes near the ball straighter and have your body turning and your hands in the club working more around tracing the arc on this side, which really is to say that you would be going up the incline plane on this side. So the incline goes this way on both sides of the ball. So you would be coming around, I'd be lowering your follow through exit, be coming out more over here. So come on over and I'll give you a feel for this. Now you mentioned before we started that you feel like you're a pretty handsy player, right? And well, you'd have to be, as anyone would. The more degrees you swing, if this is the target, the more degrees that club is traveling towards me out here, you would have to do something with your hands so it doesn't go over here. And so that's, my friend calls this a screwdriver. You don't want to have to try to control how many degrees you're turning that screw. Anyways, go ahead and just set up. So what I'm about to do is called mapping the front side. So without even making a backswing, what I'd like you to do is just hold the club above the ball. Now keeping your arms as straight as you can, just start pivoting around this way. So the drill is we're going to hit some punch shots here in a minute where we're going to try to finish right here. At this point, your goal is to have your arms straight and your shoulders and hips turn 90 degrees away from the target line. So I'm going to stand right here, take the club back down to the ball, and bring it back up to my chest the same way. Arms straight, turn, 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 just like that. This is your follow through. And if you were to keep going into your follow through, your arm, the club would come out over here. Your right arm would be lower than your shoulders. When you're swinging more degrees out to the right, you'd have a very high finish, and this club face would be flipped over. So another way I could do it, if I held a club here, right. So we're going to feel like you're swinging much more to the left.
Okay.
All right. Really, you're going to try to trace the arc, the club head, your hands are going to trace an arc going this way here.
Do you want me to go all the way up?
Let's start with a half backswing. Okay. And again, you're going to finish with your arms straight. Good. That's the finish you would want. That ball was solid. Notice that. It went to the left only because you gave it a little too much of the screwdriver here.
Okay.
But you've trained your hands to do that
Yeah.
through necessity. So as you get better at this, what you will feel as you come through is almost that you're holding the club face open.
Yeah.
So you're going to feel like you're going to hit a pull cut instead of a push draw.
Okay.
But that ball was the most compressed
Yeah.
of any shot that I've heard. So it was a straighter path. That was actually very good for your first attempt. The face was just closed. We can fix that. That's the third fundamental, is club face. Good. So right here, she's finished with her shoulders and her hips. Even her knees have rotated 90 degrees away from the target line, and she's kept her arms straight. The ball went a little left because there's still a little bit too much of this, but the path's getting better. You can hear the sound. She's more consistently hitting ball than turf, as any good player would. Another way to kind of get the arms lower and to turn through the ball better is if I were to hold this shaft like this, right through the shoulder, just come on through, keeping it under. Yeah, that's it. Very good. So, does that feel like you're turning through the ball more aggressively?
Yeah, it
Or
feels
swinging
like,
more leftward?
yeah, it feels like to me I'm going like 50, 60 yards left, but I know it's looking
Right.
normal.
Yes.
But it just feels
Yeah.
way over exaggerated.
Yeah. No, that's good. I think this looks nice.
It feels more solid too,
And
which
it
is
would
good.
be. We can always fix your club face. That's the only thing right now that's a little bit off, but again,
Yeah.
you've had to do it because the more degrees you swing this way, the more you've had to turn the screw. Good. So, this is a drill, a simple one for this, and it's just illustrating something here that if I extend my arms straight like this, if I want to slap this hand with this one, keeping this arm straight, I have to pivot or rotate my body. In other words, if I didn't turn my body like this, I can't possibly reach that because my right shoulder is back here. And what we want to do when we hit a ball, golf ball, is as you're hitting, the left side is pulling out of the way so that the right side can get up to and through the ball. So that would look like this. Again, if I don't turn, I'm going to go like that. Both arms would. So we're going to try to keep pivoting, keeping your arms straight. The reason I'm saying keep your arms straight is the only way to actually do it is to turn your body in the way that we're trying to promote here.
Yeah.
Because in the absence of that, that's when you'd feel the most flip roll.
Yeah.
Again, because of my right shoulder location. Then this arm will start to flex. I see that a lot. We're going to replace that with,
Perfect.
that's what this drill is training her to do. Nice. All you have to do differently there is just get that club face less closed.
Okay. It feels more solid.
The contact's great.
I feel like I have more control over it too with my hands.
Yes, and you would because you're using your bigger muscles. Good. You can move this rod over if it's
There we go.
in the way. hold on to that. This time feel like it's more this way.
Okay. I feel like the club face is more
Yes.
upright,
Yes.
like towards the sky. Okay.
Beautiful. Now, this is interesting. She just hit a draw with what probably feels to her as an open face, right?
Yes.
That and beautifully hit.
Thank you.
So I just want to make a quick point here that a lot of times people in the instructional world will refer to hitting a draw or releasing the club as some sort of rolling over of the wrist or this turning over the club face. That's not what she just did. That's not how you would hit a draw. The best players in the world do exactly what she just did, where they turn and the club face has not turned over. So this is not how we would ever want to release the club. When I see someone doing that, I know that there's something wrong with their pivot and they're having to time this. So I think that's an important point. You hit a draw, that's based on path and club face at the moment of contact. It really doesn't have anything to do with rolling the wrists and forearms over. Using my prism of the three fundamentals of solid contact, which is priority 1, distance, which is number 2, not her issue. She hits it far enough. She was having a little problem with the contact, and that same problem with the contact also led to problems with controlling the club face or predictable curve, which is the third fundamental. So what we found was Alessandra was tending to swing too many degrees from the inside out, which is a good player's problem. Again, the highest handicaps are over the top, steep, and swinging left, slicing. So I laid these clubs down and just to see the basic geometry of the circle laid on the ground, a half circle, and how the club should travel along that arc to help with path and club face. We're trying to literally straighten your path out, take it fewer degrees inside out. There's nothing wrong with swinging inside out as long as it's a manageable amount or you have good club face control. Anyways, the instruction was to swing more to the left, to turn the body more. We did the 90-90-90 drill, which is finishing with the knees, hips, and shoulders 90 degrees turned away from the target line with the arms straight. You did that. Your contact got instantly better. You still had a little bit of roll in the wrist because you had to train your hands that way because you were swinging so many degrees out. So then I said, well, let's feel like as you come through, whether you say knuckles to the sky or feel like you're opening the club face. Once you got that feeling in there, you hit the last few balls just perfect, dead straight. So we just changed your path, your low point, and your club face in 26 minutes. So that's a credit to you for your skill.
Thank you.
And hopefully it's a credit to the people that helped me, and there have been many, know how to look at a swing. I'm no genius, but I've been schooled by people that helped me see this, so that was great.
Thank you.
All right, well, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this session. I know I did. And thank you to Alessandra for being a very good student. And just like to invite you folks to tune in on a monthly basis. We're going to be doing different tips each month. If any of you have a particular issue, feel free to send that in, a question, and maybe we'll pick out as a topic questions that are the most frequently asked, something along those lines, and you'd send that to the Markham Woods Neighbors magazine. So please enjoy these. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any question. Again, I'm Brendan Kennedy, Director of Instruction at the Legacy Club at Alaqua Lakes. And my email address is bpk, Brendan Patrick Kennedy, bpk5367 at yahoo.com. So please feel free to send me an email if you have any question, or if you'd like to schedule a lesson, I'd be happy to do that. And again, thanks for tuning in, and look forward to seeing you next month.